The claim I'm responding to is the DARE program is ineffective in significantly reducing the rates of drug abuse among young people in America. The advocate's secondary claims are the program fails to significantly reduce the use of drugs in school-aged children and young adults. 2, although effects correlation coefficients are inconsistent across the board, generally DARE have consistently more of effect on knowledge, but least effect on drug use. 3, students and educators are recognizing the efficiency of the program and using it less on schools. My response to these claims are, although these claims were possibly correct in the time they were stated, they have become outdated. All of her resources date from 1994 through 2009, and statistics could have been changed by then. And also in her justification, her first quote, it says estimated annual economic costs range between $1 billion and $1.3 billion per year and are significantly greater than in what is commonly reported in the press using information provided by DARE. This this quote by Shepard is irrelevant in proving DARE's effectiveness. Cost has nothing to do with the effectiveness. In her first claim I, the study that Stephen L. West conducted, she gave information about the coefficients and the coefficient that was really small percent and it was negative. I also have a quote from this same study that was conducted. It said, we conducted the computer searches in ERIC, Medline, PsycInfo at databases in late to fall 2002 to obtain articles from present day study. In addition, we reviewed the reference list of required articles for other potential sources. We initially reviewed 40 articles from these efforts, 11 studies appearing in the literature from 1991 to 2002 that met our 3 inclusion criteria, which are here as follows. So based on this quote, the study was not conducted by West, but intern compiled series of articles and studies. Therefore, the data might not be reliable, nor the advocate's quote given. So this study was not an actual study, but just a bunch of statistics put together. In the study that which the advocate refers to in her secondary claim, part III, which says that 3 to 4% in high school student juniors increased drug use. I did not find this info on that study anywhere, but if the advocate did use this quote, main effect analyses show a negative effect on the program of use of alcohol and cigarettes and no effect on marijuana use. Subgroup analysis indicated that which the negative effect occurred among the users at the baseline and mostly of white students, both genders. A positive program effect was found for the students who used marijuana at the baseline. So pretty much 3 out of the 4 studies have a negative effect and 1 positive effect for the pre-users of marijuana. Also this quote, self-administered surveys were completed by the students annually. So this study was taken from 7th grade to 11th grade. And it said that the students took surveys at the end of the 11th grade to see which ones were, started drugs or ended drugs or whatever. But it's kind of the reliability is questionable because how many kids are going to be honest about drugs? Her secondary claim to the advocate, secondary 2, is from Singh study, and she stated that long-term influence is relevant to a drug-resistant program's efficiency. But I found this quote from the same study. Similarly, a more recent study examining DARE outcome results published between 1991 through 2002 reported an overall effect size that was small and not statistically significant, thus eliminating further evidence of the ineffectiveness of DARE. So pretty much it said this whole study had little evidence to prove the ineffectiveness of DARE. Also from this study, I got, it says that West and O'Neill's meta-analysis provide extensive reviews of DARE. Does it say? I'm sorry, I can't read that.
It says time is up.
Oh, oops. Sorry. That quote, it says that study is also from the West study, meaning that it's also unreliable because it was just from the other study, which was a bunch of articles. So, in conclusion, I say her information is outdated and unreliable. Thank you.
Well, you identify what the main claim and the secondary claims were, and after that, everything seems to be just kind of a general challenge to the evidence that's being used by the advocate in their argument. But those challenges are not specific to the individual claims, and they're often not stated with clear declarative statements. You give us quotes, for instance, from a variety of reviews of the research that's been done, and those reviews don't always tell us what inference that we should be drawing. You need to draw the inference for us a little bit more clearly. So I got this comparison between the coefficient study and that you couldn't find the 3 to 4% change in drug use that there was talked about, and that 3 out of 4 studies found a negative relationship, 1 found a positive relationship. So what does all that mean? You know, the research that the advocate is citing had inconsistent results. That's what the argument is. That's what the claim needs to be. All right. So the advocate's citing a study that they're using to say this shows that the program is ineffective, and your argument is that's not what the study shows. The study shows that the results were inconsistent, that there were times that they could not reach the conclusion that they were talking about, and in fact there were incidents in which it did seem to have some kind of effect. And I think you needed to do a little bit more clarification of those claims. As it was, sometimes I think you just kind of read a section of the article without explaining to us what that meant, or even understanding sometimes what it meant. And I, frankly, don't understand what it means also, so there's no reason that, you should be making the point unless you can explain it to us. And I think that that's kind of what's missing there. I think you've got some legitimate criticisms here. The argument that the study is not a study, it's just a meta-analysis. You're right, it's not a separate study, so it's not conducted on the participants in the DARE program itself. Instead, it's a summary of the research that was done on DARE, and it's kind of looking at it independently. The question is that a relevant model of assessment to use? I think that's pretty standard kind of stuff in all kinds of research fields. So I don't think the idea that that approach is we should just dismiss it out of hand. I don't think that's a very reasonable argument on that particular point. But you're talking about 40 different studies. One of the things that is true about DARE is that there has been inconsistency on the studies, and if you pick and choose and cherry pick which studies to use, that might get you a different set of results. And maybe that's the criticism that would be more applicable here. Excuse me. The general challenge on self-administered studies, and the kids not maybe accurately identifying whether their drug use was accurate or not. That's a general press. That would apply to any of the research, so it would be probably consistent across the studies. And so if we were comparing the studies, I'm not sure that it would make much of a difference there. And the other thing that I thought you started off with, it said you were going to say it's outdated because the research is all 1994 to 2003 or 2004, whatever, 2009, that's the date that you had there. And I'm going, okay, so where's the data from 2009 on? Where's the stuff from the last 5 years since they've revised DARE programs that shows that it's effective? And you never kind of get to that. And that seemed to me like that was the stuff. Yeah. Well, then why do we get that date? You know, if there isn't any indication that there's a difference after 2009, why are you telling us about it being outdated? There's got, you know, the only thing it would do is raise the question, you know, that it's 6 years later and things may have changed, but you don't have any proof that it's changed. So I think that's a little bit, excuse me, problematic there. Okay.